Hey guys, welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, for being subscribed. If you're not, hit that button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like button. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this politics and BS. Listen, when I heard about this story, it gave me the shakes, and I would not be surprised if this story that this young lady is speaking about and her mother no longer being here has something to do with the former mayor of Detroit, Kwame Kilpatrick. Not saying that former president had anything to do with that, but the former president did pardon this creep from prison. But I believe that the pardons that the former president gave out were for his own gains, for his own purposes, not from the goodness and kindness of his heart. Okay? So I believe that like people like the former governor of Illinois, Rod Blagojevich, the former president pardoned Kwame Kilpatrick, people who either were involved in politics that were seen as dirty, or people like some rappers that he feels would be good mouthpieces for him when it comes to the next time he would be running for president, which is actually right now. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is not just because this story touched my heart because of this young lady sharing a story about her mom no longer being here, but also because a few months ago, I talked about Kwame Kilpatrick and how he was pissed off at the former president, 44, Obama, for what he said, leaving him to rot in prison because he felt like they were boys. That was my man. That was my homeboy. We rocked together. I helped him when he was running for president and all this other stuff. And so now he's rocking for the former president, 45, Trump, to get elected. But hearing this story, it's just like, wow. The corruption is so deep in politics. And listen, I believe there are a small percentage of people who are involved in politics that are decent people. But unfortunately, the waters are so muddied and corrupt, whether it is national or local, that it probably is just going to take the second coming of Jesus Christ to make some things right, because I don't have any faith in any of these people. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I wouldn't even say I'm an independent. I'm just a believer in that God has me here for a purpose and a reason, and that he's going to help me to make it through. I'm not depending and relying on any of these people because it's just so dirty. And I honestly kind of feel sorry for a lot of the diehard MAGA Trump people because they low-key worship this man like he is Jesus Christ. And he doesn't care about anyone but himself. And so hearing this story, I don't know how far this is going to go. I just want to share it with you guys and hopeful that some things are going to turn out for this young lady, because her mom was taken out, and I wouldn't doubt that the former mayor of Detroit has something to do with it.
Was a very popular stripper in the early 2000s, and as you can imagine, that industry, you meet a lot of powerful, rich, famous people. My mom ended up having an affair with the mayor of the city, who was married at the time. So yeah, things got messy, and the mayor of Detroit's wife actually assaulted my mother. Instead of paying my mother hush money, the mayor decided to pay off cops in the city to murder my mother. There's a lot of key points to my mother's story, but to make things a little shorter, she was murdered in a drive-by with police-issued guns. I worked in the industry myself, so I've met people who knew my mother, seen her around the mayor, and they do not want any parts of my mother's case. So to this day, it's an unsolved murder. There has been many podcasts, news channels reporting on my mother's story, a book written, a play produced. But after so many years of trying to fight for justice, I have been a standing lone wolf, and I've grown very tired. So the former mayor, Kwame Kilpatrick, actually ended up going to prison for various other things after reports of my mother's death. Some people think he's great. Some people think he's a terrible, terrible man. But thanks to Donald Trump being his longtime friend in that industry, he pardoned him a few years ago. So now the man responsible for my mother's murder is just living his happily ever after life. My mom was a very...
All right, guys, so you heard that. Now, it breaks my heart to hear this story, but it doesn't shock or surprise me. And not just the fact that it happened, but the fact that she has no justice for her mother, and she probably will never receive it, because this is probably just one of many situations, not just surrounding Kwame Kilpatrick and the former president, but a lot of these people who are in politics. It's just a dirty, dirty cesspool. And when the former president talked about how he's going to go drain the swamp, listen, there's no way of doing that, because one, you're a part of it, and two, the system is the swamp. You know what I mean? It just is. And so the diehards for politics are the ones who are in it, and they're profiting off of it and from it and living in it. So to upend it would upend their lives. That's why you have career politicians. It never should be that way. If there are term limits for the president, why aren't there term limits for congresswomen and men and senators and even the freaking Supreme Court? These people can just be in office until they die. How asinine was that? How can you have real checks and balances when things are set up to be that way? But yeah, going off a little bit on a tangent when it comes to the politics, but when it comes to Kwame Kilpatrick and how he's going to now just be the cheerleader for the former president, yeah, it's possible that he may have known some things about this situation when it comes to Kwame, the stripper, all of the dirt that was going on in Kwame's tenure of being the mayor of the city, and he destroyed that city. He really did. And like the young lady said, now he's free and able to just live his life happily ever after. Well, I don't know what's going to come of this situation, but I don't even believe that him being in prison for the years that he was in prison is the end of his harvest of reaping what he has sown. Because I watched the American Greed special on Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick. I put a link to it in the description box of my other video, but I will put a link to that again in the description of this video. So for those of you who did not check out that previous conversation that I did, you can check it out, and also check out the American Greed special. I have the link in the description box. And surprisingly, when I shared it at the time, it only had 23,000 views. I'm surprised it doesn't have 23 million views, because when I initially saw the American Greed on Kwame Kilpatrick, it was in August. I and my husband, we were away for the weekend. Actually, it was my birthday weekend and our wedding anniversary. And we went away to a lake house, and it's a beautiful place. But anyway, we were up early one morning and it just flipping the channels, and this was on, and it caught my eye. I was watching it, and I just was like, wow. I'm surprised they haven't made a movie about this man yet, because someone needs to do it. But he is corrupt. I would not doubt that he had something to do with this young lady's life being taken, because not just because the wife was upset that he was doing, some things with with this woman who was a stripper that was hired to be at this party at the mansion that he was having. I wouldn't really be surprised, but I'm just honestly disgusted to hear that this is something that happened and nothing has been done about it, and more likely than not, nothing will be done about it. So I could hear the exhaustion in her voice of just trying for many years to try to make some things happen, and I can only commend her for that because she is a young lady. But it's a really crazy and scary situation because, yeah, we're living in an age right now where we have people that are politicians or aspiring to be politicians where they're just pretty much all dirty and nefarious individuals that have connections to so much money, so much power, where somebody's life can be taken and nothing can be done about it. It's sad and it's scary. And that's why I don't even really get involved in politics. And I may talk about it here and there when it comes to just some of the news stories that I see, but me endorsing somebody or what, I just don't get involved in that stuff because I don't believe that God really has anything to do with politics. I really don't. My personal opinion, but I really don't believe God has anything to do with politics. I do believe that in some ways, God may actually be like the antithesis of politics, even though I know a lot of these people, especially the ones that claim to be on the right, quote unquote, try to make it seem like they're Christian conservatives or whatever. I really don't believe that God is involved in any of this stuff at all. And it kind of reminds me of in the Bible days when people wanted a king versus just allowing God to lead them and guide them and be their Lord. They wanted a king. And God's like, you want a king? All right, I'll give you a king. And the king was terrible. You know what I mean? And I just feel that people just continuously repeat the same mistakes over and over again in life. And so a lot of these people, they want to make kings out of these presidents and these senators and congressmen and women and whatever. And it's just really ridiculous. And all I can do is sit and shake my head. I don't get involved in it. But again, like I said, if I see things that just kind of catch my eye and it interests me, I may talk about it. But this young lady, I can understand her frustrations and her exhaustion in trying to see some things happen in this case. And it's probably just one of those cases that will remain cold. Now, if something comes of it, I'll definitely come back and discuss it. But I wanted to share this with you guys and get your thoughts about it. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for being here, for liking and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until the next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.